War Eagle, War Report family. I am your host, C Dub. Now that the early signing day period has concluded, we just got one question for you. How are you feeling, Auburn family? We'll talk about that in the latest edition of the Midweek Report. Everyone, War Eagle, welcome to the latest edition of the Midweek Report. I am joined by Ike Jones, B. Will, my G's out. But this show is brought to you by auburnsports.com. Shout out to JG Tate and those guys for what they do, especially the coverage they've been providing as of late regarding recruiting. We appreciate them for supporting the War Report as well as our weekly Midweek Report. We want to thank you guys for hanging out with us on this night. Please be sure to continue to support us as you're watching by sharing this content on social media. Also, we need you to help us with our engagement. Smash the like button. Subscribe to our channel if you have not done so already. Go ahead and become a member of the War Report by becoming a patron of the War Report. I could tell you about all the perks and benefits that comes with being a patron.
Listen, if you aren't a member and you missed it, I did my marathon live as promised. Apparently some people didn't know it was there, but it was a good time, man. I enjoyed hanging out with y'all, watching the recruits come in. So you missed that membership benefit, but I got so much stuff to break down, man. I might go and chop up the sections of me talking about each of the kids that committed and have that as micro content for you guys who are patrons to be able to go back and rewatch. I got some stuff that I've been planning to do for our coordinators, and I got that stuff on deck. I just got to record my voiceover stuff for that. So a lot of stuff coming up for you patron folks, and I still got basketball content. I got content ready for y'all, man. Trust me, your boy is out here working, man. And the $5.99 is what's going to get you to that place. If you are a member and you want to gift the membership to somebody right now, 'tis the season. Click from the live chat from a desktop computer. You can give away memberships to somebody. It's the season of getting your weight up as well. We're going to give away a Get Your Weight Up t-shirt sponsored by War Eagle Oil. WarEagleOil.com is your place for all your motor oil and motor-related products. Head to WarEagleOil.com. But right now, you need to hashtag Get Your Weight Up in the comments. We'll be doing a drawing to give away this t-shirt for the free ski. And we appreciate you guys for locking in with us. Bam.
Stuart Donald says, hats off to Ike for doing 6 hours of live broadcasting today. Give that man a gummy or just some food and a nap. Did you take a nap today, Ike?
I did. I had to go take a nap. I'm not even going to lie to you. After I got done,
I know you did.
Lay down for a minute.
No, you did.
Yeah, so I did get an opportunity to take a nap today. Fortunately, my wife was off work and she scooped the kid up and I went and laid down for a minute. But I appreciate y'all for hanging out with me. So
yeah, I saw you got real excited when we picked up some surprise pickups. Ike brought a lot of excitement and energy.
Listen,
you held it down, man. You did your thing.
I gotta do what I do, man. You know what I'm saying? Listen, this is when we're doing those member only lives, we haven't done any of those since we stopped doing Get Your Weight. Watch the film live. I just got to give you the authenticity of what my reaction is to stuff. Just know these kids got some trash video out there, and it's not because they can't play. It's because them edits are terrible, bro.
This man's clowning he was clowning the hell out of somebody's little graphics that they put. I don't know who did it, man. I feel bad because I feel like it was somebody who worked at the school, like a student, right? He's like, "Oh man, you're gonna love this little sparkle effect." And here go, like, who did this trash?
It just was horrible, man.
Poor kid. Keep your head up, kid.
Listen. Keep your head in the books because this ain't for you. That's not what God intended for nobody's life. Had a video out here with little puppy dogs on it talking about big dogs eat or whatever it was. That junk was stupid, dog. That junk was dumb, man. I'm sorry.
I ain't finna clown nobody's creative aspirations when they.
I'm clowning it. It was bad.
You gotta
simple, man. Kiss, baby. Keep it simple, stupid. Simplicity over everything. You ain't got to do all that extra stuff, man.
Let's get to it, shall we? Auburn Dad for Life says Freeze warning came early, and prayers for Mike G. He gladly accepts those prayers, and yes, it was a freeze warning down in Auburn. Corey Dub says prediction: this will be the one and only class Freeze has at AU outside of the top 10. Also, Pac-12 network, seriously, let's talk about how trash this is. Speaking of which, the decision to put this on the Pac-12 network. Can anyone find this game?
Right. I mean, we struggling. So Mike shared his football with us so we could try to capture it for film purposes. Can't even find the game on there. I mean, maybe it'll be like once the game is live, then you log into football and go to sports and you'll see it because it's live at that minute. But right now, we can't pinpoint this thing, man. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a trash decision. Whoever over at ESPN was like, hey, you know what? It's an Auburn and Washington game. Let's put it on our Pac-12 network so only 5 people can watch it.
Wait, is it partnered with ESPN too? ESPN as well, the same way the SEC network is?
I don't know. I'm gonna see if I can find it on the ESPN app, dog. But
that's trash. Man. That's trash. The whole decision is just trash, from my personal opinion. I didn't know Did you know Pac-12 had a network before you found out what this game was on? Did you know they had a network?
I don't know if everybody's got networks.
I mean,
but really, who cares?
I knew it because that's why the last guy got fired, because they Pac-12, the commissioner, he got fired because he did a terrible deal with their network. So yeah, I knew it existed. But with problems like this is why. This is why he got fired. I can't find your game, man.
It's a dumb decision. Like, who and why?
Where's
why did you? Of all the games, why would you restrict this one to the Pac-12 network? Like, I guess in your mind, you were going to try to drive up subscriptions to it. Nobody's going to do anything besides get y'all trash little 7-day trial and then unsubscribe to whatever is going on. It's stupid.
People say it's on Spectrum, which I don't have. Try Stream East. That's what Rodney
See, if I gotta rig something up to watch your game, you made a poor decision. It's not on YouTube TV. I got to go to Stream East. I got to go to some stuff somebody made up in their garage to watch this game, bro. Yeah. Are we being for real right now?
That was Pac-12 network had a deal with satellite providers. That was the deal. That's who it has its strongest.
So yes, dumb.
With. Yeah.
That makes absolutely no sense, bro. Yeah. What are we doing? Pac-12 network is not affiliated with ESPN.
Hallie said it, yeah. It's on the satellite. I think it's DirecTV, maybe Dish Network. But that who is
some people got Dish. People in the comments saying they got Dish.
I mean, okay, some people, who of the populace, hey man. Hey man.
Hey man, I might just be watching the beat writers or listen to the radio. I might just have to listen to the radio, man.
Yeah, that's what it's looking like. That's what it's looking like for sure. For sure. Let's get into it, guys. Let's talk about what the people came to talk about. Zach mentioned it here in his comments. Auburn finishes 16th overall and 7th in the SEC. We came a long way from in the 40s. Is that right? Even worse than that weeks ago. So Auburn made strong headway with this recruiting class. Kudos to Hugh Freeze and staff for a very hardworking 2 to 3 weeks. Let's talk about it, man. Some interesting stats. And of course, it's according to Rivals, in which Auburn finished 16th. But what's interesting is that 11 of the 19 players signed, they committed to Auburn after Hugh Freeze was hired.
Yeah.
Majority of this class, or this signing class, was actually brought in by this staff.
Now some of
Hey,
some
man,
of them were
hold
on.
on. I know we got off of this. I know we got off of
You about to
this.
go back to this Pac-12?
It's not on DirecTV either. It's only on Comcast, Xfinity,
and Dish. Huh.
Don't nobody want.
That's bad. It's not on DirecTV.
Man, just hit the radio, man. Just go to that. The Auburn Tigers. Is it auburntigers.com? Just hit the radio broadcast, man. It's best
I want to watch the game, man.
You're gonna have to imagine it. You use your imagination.
Wendell.
Right?
Are we in
I
the
can see-
1940s?
I can see Wendell doing that.
Okay, yeah.
That's what you're gonna have to do.
What is going on out here in the world, bro?
Yeah, man.
WAC 12. There you go. All right. And we're back. Recruiting class, Ike. Get happy. Get excited. Auburn flipped 9 players, 8 of which were from Power 5 schools. Only one came from a group of 5, Liberty. Hank Brown, the QB, committed. Everyone else came from a school from a Power 5. Before we talk about the kids, just talk about what we observed. Again, we said let's wait, hold our excitement until these kids sign the dotted line. Well, they've done that. Let's talk about how much fun this has been. And I already alluded to the fact that I have been lying to myself for a few years. I know that development is very important. You still got to do that. But it's really fun seeing that we got Jimmy's and Joe's now. For sure. Or that they're going after Jimmy's and Joe's at the very least. Yeah. Your thoughts, B. Will, on what you observed these past 3 weeks, as well as today?
I want to get into type of the I guess you can say what recruiting is and what recruiting isn't, because it helps me understand what happened today. But before I get in there, this was hilarious to me because we talked about imagining the game because you can't watch it. Gabrielle said, "I'm sure going to imagine with Jabari and Kessler, Hell, Chuma and Bryce Brown too." So, it's been a rough couple weeks. But also Dave Medlock, if you were on the live chat today, members, shout out to JJ Brandon.
John Brandon, who said
John. Well, he's JJ on Twitter. That's what he calls himself. But that's a little inside for that. That was fun. But so
now I gotta go back and watch that.
Yeah, you gotta go back and watch it. One thing that I think is very well illustrated by today's results, and I'm gonna compare this to Ole Miss's results on the day, which are marvelous and delicious. As we were stood ready to snatch their head coach, they made a lot of proclamations when Lane didn't come here about who they were in the SEC and who they thought we were in the SEC, trying to dumb down the pecking order to what the last 2 years have been with them having Lane Kiffin and us having Brian Harsin, right? And they pounded their chest and they talked real big and, oh, look, Auburn, you guys, you're 38 in recruiting. And okay. So what happens is we get a guy who used to be theirs, and he takes an O-line coach who used to be theirs. And we rocket up 20 plus spots to 16. As C just explained, in the matter of 2 weeks, we landed, what we said, 9 flips, see?
9
flips, one of which was depending on the rating system, one of the top 3. He's no lower than 3 in any rating system, JUCO offensive tackles, which is huge because JUCO is like a hybrid between a high school player and a transfer portal player. They are ready to play. They have not played at this level yet, so that's why they're not quite a Power 5 transfer. But they have been experienced. They are out of high school, so their bodies are more developed, and they can contribute and fill spots immediately, which we know Auburn needs. I don't know how much Ole Miss needed that. I don't care. All right. They sit in the 30s, and here we are in the mid-teens. There is a natural pecking order to recruiting, to programs, and as much credit as we should give Hugh Freeze, especially Zach Etheridge, especially Zach Etheridge. The difference with most of these flips is that Zach Etheridge was on them before the coaching changeover. He has been on them from day one. He never stopped recruiting them. When they said, "Nah, I'm good where I'm at," he didn't stop recruiting them once they committed. He didn't stop recruiting them up till today. Every time we thought it was over, Zach tweeted out eyeballs. It was really eyeball emojis what he said. But he let us know something else was coming. Zach Etheridge deserves so much credit. Hugh Freeze deserves so much credit. The entire staff. But what today illustrates the most, in my opinion, is Auburn's pecking order in the country and in the conference is top third of the conference, top 15 in the country. That's where we sit. The difference is if you've got the right guy at the head, you can sit there and then maybe get a little better than that. The wrong guy running the ship, you'll be on the bottom edge of that and maybe a little lower. That's it. So you'll have these aberrations of, oh, y'all are down. Y'all are only 30 in recruiting. That's not who we are, which is why we were so upset at the results. Y'all are 38 in recruiting and you're paying your coach $9 million.
Actually, depending on which recruiting site you look at, they're 51.
Oh, look at that.
You're giving them a lot of love right now.
Yeah. So that's who y'all are. And is in the eloquent words of Ike Jones, you're broke and you're ugly.
And you're ugly. You're ugly and broke.
This is what y'all are. Except now y'all are paying a lot of money to be broken. You're the same school. You can't afford $9 million for a coach.
They put lipstick on it. They put lipstick on it.
They paid more money for the other coach to keep him there that we were trying to get as an assistant.
Yuck.
Yeah.
Derek Nix, they paid him more money. They went out and tried to wring water out of that dry rag that they call their NIL fund to try to get more guys to come over there. All for nothing. Listen, okay. I tried to tell y'all weeks ago, you're ugly and you're broke. And you just got mad at me and was like, how dare you? That's disrespectful. I didn't do anything but look at you and say, ugly. And then I checked your bank account and I said, broke. It's not my fault.
Yeah. This is who y'all are. This is who they are. This is the pecking order. So no matter how much you get in a given year, you can have a really good year. Like I think what Kiffin did with Matt Corral in 2021, very good. However, you're Ole Miss. You can't fill your roster with talent the way an Auburn can. Of course, not in Alabama or an LSU or Georgia or even a Florida. I think Florida and Auburn are honestly kind of mirrors on either side of the conference. Ooh. Here's your area. And if you got the right guy,
melting down today too, boy. And they didn't even do that bad.
They didn't. They got what they got one or two that turn. I mean, but listen, it's a cold game. Billy Napier is new in Florida. He'll do all right. But what I feel like this tells us more than anything is you got to get the right guy at the head of your ship. Ike and Auburn Memes, our guy, and Brandy Mack, they had a really good conversation on the pod that we dropped this morning on Auburn Express, talking about really what the differences were between the momentum that Hugh Freeze had built up to this point before signing day and where Brian Harsin was going wrong. And Ike said it best. It's like Brian Harsin was like, yeah, I'll just wait. You know, I'll get the guy I want when I get the guy I want. I'm going to make the pitch to the guy that I think is best that fits this role. And I'm not going to press to get guys in. No, buddy, you got to press. You have to press. Every year, every game is life or death down here for this fan base. And as much as I respected his football acumen, it wasn't enough to say, I'm going to develop you for the next level and you'll get there. And I don't care if it's 2 stars or 3 stars. Well, buddy, I can tell you, man, the people down here, they care. They care. And Hugh Freeze got that. He understood that. And that's why we're a lot closer to what our natural position should be. It is scary to me to think, what if he had 2 years coming into this class? Oh, it could have been nasty, man. It could have been nasty. All the flips to me say, even though they were exciting, To me, it said, we've got the right dude. The NIL is working. The facility is doing its work with the recruiting visit that we had. We've got the right guy at the head. Our best recruiters are energized. Zach Etheridge, of course, showed out. That's why you keep him. Yes. I would pay Zach Etheridge coach money for not coaching anything. Like, look, man, just recruit because it's worth it. You're worth this in recruiting. I'm excited about the results. I'm encouraged by the results. I still don't want to get too high on anybody. Guys got to get on the field, and they have to prove their worth on the field. You're doing less guessing with guys who are transferring in because they play. Transfers are played. JUCO players are played. You know more what you're getting with those guys. But with all the hype about, I know the Montgomery boys, man, they ended up not coming. Everybody was like, man, we thought we had a shot. Listen, man, Bama just put like 7, 8, 4, 5 stars in the portal in like the last few weeks. We might get another shot at these boys. What y'all worried about? And Bama hadn't been scary. Bama hadn't been scary in like 4 years, man. I don't know why. I'm not so sold on a high recruiting class being the end all be all. If you want proof, look at Alabama. They're still searching in the transfer portal for their best players, even though they're recruiting the way they have been recruiting. They've got a mediocre defensive coordinator, let their fan base tell it. And the results on defense have been mediocre. Are we really worried about them getting more 5-star guys? They've been getting 5-star guys. And those 5-star guys are leaving before they get a chance to play. Don't get down on the guys we didn't get. I want to see our guys get developed, turn into productive players while they're here, and not jump in the portal, because that's the thing that we have to worry about now. We didn't have to worry about the last 2 years. We didn't have guys that everybody wanted. Our guys got in the portal because they didn't like what was going on here. We're getting guys that are now being recruited by equal programs, better programs. Ohio State, the guy that we flipped from Ohio State, K.N. Lee. Listen, now we have to worry about, if he's not getting the time he wants to get, is he going to jump in that portal next year? How this staff handles that. Now that we've got some highly desirable players, I'm interested to see how this happens going forward. But I am very encouraged by the results today. Very encouraged by what Zach Etheridge was able to do. And the entire, if it's not just Zach Etheridge, but we know he was leading the charge on a bunch of guys. Very encouraged by the overall results. I want us to close with some more transfers and flip 1 or 2 guys who didn't sign today, because there are quite a few that we've been on their list and we've had them on our radar, and they didn't sign today. They don't sign until February. Let's keep it going. That's all I want to see.
If you had to assign a grade, how would you grade what Hugh Freeze and staff has done first signing day period?
First signing day.
Because usually there's a lot of grace given for the reason being he has 2 to 3 weeks as opposed to 2 years with these kids.
Right.
What grade would you give Hugh Freeze and what this staff has done?
If I was going to give him a grade, I would give him a B, but I'd grade him on the curve because he's been here for 3 weeks. So I'd say this is a straight up A. 3 weeks of work. You put in a class that, I mean, this is a better class than, out of 14 member institutions, better than 7 of them. I know where we sit at in recruiting right now, but as far as what we did on early signing day in these 3 weeks, I think it's better the fact that he hasn't been here for the 2 and 3 years that these other programs have had working on these guys that they got. So I say it's a solid A plus on the curve, but overall B.
All right. You muted.
I just realized that. If I grading on the curve, it's definitely an A, because of the amount of time they had to do this and the amount of flips that happened. It wasn't just like the flips that happened were guys. It was a combination of like Miller, the guy from the O lineman from
Xavier Miller.
Yeah, he was originally an Ole Miss recruit. Then we got Ole Miss's offensive line coach. So it's like, okay, that is the right coach coming over and still having the good relationship. But when you get a guy like K.N. Lee from Ohio State,
right?
Where did that come from? Like, none of our coaches are from Ohio State,
right?
When Keldrick Falk has been potentially in the pipeline for weeks,
he was gone,
and he had committed to Florida State, and he was like, just kidding. That's that's damn good work in a short amount of time, right? So on the curve, you definitely got to give him an A. Overall, I still think it's a B, just because there is, there is some carryover from the previous staff, and there's some guys that we missed on that we probably had a real opportunity to be able to get. And that's not necessarily Hugh Freeze's fault. It was just the position that he was placed in. But, life doesn't really concern itself with where you started. It's really about where you're finishing it, right? So you got to deal with what you got. And so a B overall.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna give it an A, just given the time frame he had to make ground with some of these kids. I look at the fact that he was able to get guys who were in the portal to come back to Auburn. He was able to get a lot of guys who are still considering Auburn to come visit Auburn. What he managed to do, again, the things I listed, 11 of these guys committed came after. Now, granted, some of these were associated with some of the relationships of the new assistants and coaches who came to Auburn. That makes it easier. But to your point, just to be able to flip some guys, a guy who had been committed to Florida State and wasn't even considering Auburn, for Auburn to be your last visit leading up to that point was major. The fact that you had other guys who were considering flipping to Auburn, Tony Mitchell. Of course, he decided to stay with Bama, but for you to give him that much to think about, no one really thought Tony Mitchell, we had a legit that close of a shot with him 2-3 weeks ago. Not many people felt that way, but for this class, this coaching staff to do that, I give it an A, given the circumstances. I'm definitely grading on a curve here because a lot of coaching staffs aren't able to even achieve this. You can make an argument that some of these kids should have been here in the fold the whole time. Agreed. But to make right of that in 2 to 3 weeks is impressive. Christian Crawford says B minus. Zach says solid A. Dave Metlock says A minus. Tay B plus. Corey Dubb says an A. Chess Rockwell says an A. James Burnett A plus. Lawrence A plus. Leostato A. Bay Lyman says A. Gabby A. So a lot of people are giving high grades to what this coaching staff has managed to achieve in such a short period of time. Before we get to the break, guys, I want to ask you this. We knew what Auburn's needs were. We knew what Auburn was what was leaving the cupboard. Hugh Freeze signed a quarterback, 5 offensive linemen, one of them being a JUCO, of course, 2 defensive tackles, 4 defensive ends. That's not including edge rusher Elijah McAllister, the Vandy transfer out of the portal, 4 defensive backs, a wide receiver, and that's not mentioning J.C. Hart, who Hugh Freeze alluded to.
Could play both sides, yeah.
Could play both sides. So I'm not necessarily counting him as a DB just yet. He likes his athleticism. I'm curious to see what they do with him. He also mentioned in the presser the need for more offensive linemen, interior defensive line, and linebackers.
And those last 2 things that you said is the reason why I'm at B. Because we need help at linebacker, and we need some help in the interior defensive line. And I don't think that those 2 things have been addressed yet. Had we gotten somebody in either of those 2 spots that I felt like was a game changer, we did well at the edge. Like, I'm surprised. Like, we went from like no edge guys to like 4 all of a sudden. But if we had gotten one linebacker and one game changer in the middle, we got a guy in the middle in Steven Johnson that flipped from Arkansas. But had we gotten a game changer in the interior defensive line and a linebacker that I was like, oh, this dude right here, even though Terrence Love might play some hybrid linebacker for us, but just like a real downhill run stuffing linebacker guy, side to side, in the mold of what we had with Zacoby McClain, but maybe even bigger, right? Then I'd have been like, hey, right? But because we didn't address that, we did a good job at the O-line. I feel like we've changed that offensive line fundamentally.
Right.
And I still think that we can get better for guys who are ready to play right now, because you really don't know what the high school kids are going to project towards. But yeah, it'd have been an A from me had I seen a linebacker that I was like, ooh, And had I seen a defensive interior defensive lineman, I was like, ooh. Yeah.
Having said that, for him to be able to verbalize that and state that, how do you feel about his awareness? Because again, this was something that we thought was obvious 2-3 years ago, 4 years ago with his predecessors. For him to actually come out and say, hey, okay, we need some linebackers. We're not done yet. How does that make you feel? Does that give you more confidence to us being able to address roster issues and manage our roster better? Does it give you any more comfort?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm happy about that.
Yeah, I want him to say what's obvious. You know what I'm saying? I think Gus said the same thing all the time, which was, yeah, we were excited and the opportunity. Okay, but it never amounted to anything. Harsin tried to project confidence in the guys that we had by upping their level, right? And when it didn't work, he's got nothing to show for why he didn't go and get better guys at those positions.
Right.
So to hear Hugh Freeze say, we're not done. We know we got to work on a couple more positions, important positions. It lets everybody know that, listen, we know, man. We saw what our linebacker play and O-line play was last year. We know that. So you know that, and you have to say it. Even if you were gonna, let's say we land 3 more linebackers between now and signing day in February, say it out loud and let us know that you worried about it too. Thank you. that lets the fan base know you know that these are issues because we saw these issues. Let us know that you're trying to address it. And even if he was going to do it anyway, just say it out loud. I think that goes a long way with the fans. So I appreciate that.
Zach says, I think Terrence Love becomes a linebacker as well as Pubkett.
More than likely. I mean, I can definitely see that happening. So wouldn't be surprised.
Well, listen, we got some more comments to get to, a few more questions about this class, and we'll actually take a look at who these kids are and kind of go in depth because I'm going to ask you a few questions, gentlemen. But you are watching the Midweek Report sponsored by auburnsports.com. Share this content on social media, that is Facebook and Twitter. Get the thumbs up, guys. Get our engagement up. Also, subscribe if you're new to our channel. Let's pause to pay some bills and acknowledge our sponsors.
This edition of the War Report is made possible by our generous sponsors. AuburnSports.com. For news and notes on all things Auburn Sports, head over to AuburnSports.com. Athletic Architects. For young athletes looking to secure their financial future, let Athletic Architects help you to build your financial house. Head over to BuildTheHouse.com. And our giveaway sponsor, War Eagle Oil. War Eagle Oil is your #1 place for all of your motor oil and related products. For more information, visit WarEagleOil.com.
We appreciate the sponsors of the War Report. We appreciate those of you who are members of the War Report who continue to help us get our weight up out here in these YouTube and internet streets. If you want to come on board, $3.99 gets you to that level where you are a member. $5.99 gets you to patron level where you can start to come on in and see some of these film reviews that we've got coming up. But if you just want to be a member and you want to be a part of conversations that we have with members only chats and member only streams, $3.99 is where you got to go. And we appreciate everybody who's doing that. If you are a member and you want to gift a membership, go ahead and do that. Gift it right now from the live chat from a desktop computer, and you can let YouTube know somebody else needs to get a membership to the War Report. The first month will be on you. Hashtag get your weight up right now in the comments if you want to be able to get a free shirt. We'll be doing that drawing. This is sponsored by War Eagle Oil, WarEagleOil.com. Guys, go over to the website right now, man. You know, y'all got stuff that you need for your car. I don't know how many people are doing their own automotive repairs and such, man. But if you are that type of person, WarEagleOil.com has the supplies for you. Make sure you head over there and support them. Tell them the War Report sent you. And audio only stuff, man. We got a lot of that popping off over there. Lobtown podcast, Mike Mack and Ming's podcast, Amen Corner podcast, rebroadcast of some of this stuff is over there. Stuff from the morning drop. We got all kinds of audio content ready for you guys at the Auburn Express, powered by the War Report. Wherever you listen to podcasts, make sure you hook that up.
Let's grab some super chats before we get back into it. Ben Bloodworth says, have we talked about the weird bobblehead graphics yet? If so, enjoy the $5 anyway.
It's
on
weird.
Twitter. It was weird. I
thought it's a Snapchat or IG filter. It's weird. It's
actually
really
liked it.
weird.
I thought
I thought it looked ridiculous. The first time,
I was like,
why does his eyes look like this? Is this a kid picture?
I didn't think it was so bad. It's
Oh,
better
no,
than
this is
them clip art graphics they was doing with the random jersey.
where the
floating in
jersey was
sky.
just above the stadium.
Yeah, that was terrible.
Floating above the stadium. Yeah, that was terrible.
Okay, I give you that.
Yeah.
I give you that. Okay. Still weird, but I give you that.
Yeah, it was still weird.
I am Hop says we did great in high school, JC recruiting,
Junior college.
JUCO, but
Yeah.
I want us to finish top 5 in the portal. That's
Mm.
what the success of the next season hangs on. But we still got National Signing Day. Now, of course, a lot of kids may be off the board, but I'm pretty sure Hugh Freeze is going to raid the portal. And there's still a lot of guys who've left to enter the portal. I'm pretty sure, right?
They might. I mean,
oh no, listen, there's going to be a second wave of portal people. Even so, here's the thing. I want you to brace yourselves when I say it. There's going to be some Auburn kids that are going to hit the portal in the second wave as well. Some of them are biding their time, waiting to see what the landscape looks like, trying to see who we sign, whether or not they've got an opportunity that they feel like is going to be. There are going to be some kids from Auburn that hit the portal, and we're going to be all sad about them. Oh man, I really liked that kid. And some people are going to swear, well, that person never really contributed anyway, so it doesn't matter, right? Like all of that is going to happen. There's going to be overreaction, underreaction. But there is going to be a second wave of portal stuff, and we just need to be prepared for it.
Yeah.
Agreed. Dave Metlock says Joyner needs an NIL deal with IHOP. He ran over so many folks on film, Ike, but came out of chair.
Mm-hmm. I did. I reacted pretty big to watching him take a dude from
Ike about came out of chair.
From like the 40-yard line on one side of the field to the 30 on the other. Like he literally walked the dude. He was like, he's like an usher. He was like, can I show you to your seat? It's way over here. And he just walked him down the field until he found his seat. It was cool. I like to see it. Clay Whedon was out there doing work too, man. I thoroughly enjoy watching the tape of those two young men putting people on their back consistently.
Did you get a chance to check out Connor Orr?
Connor Lou,
sorry.
I watched everybody. We watched the tape from every single recruit except for who was the guy that signed right at the end? Quintrell Day, Jamison Travis. That's the only person whose tape we didn't get a chance to watch. But I watched every other recruit that signed today on that live stream. So if you're a member, that live stream is still live. If you want to go and browse through and look, I might try to go back later and like put bookmarks on each person that we talked about. But I looked at the tape from every single person. Connor Luke looked good. He looked good. He's gonna be a solid tackle for us, man. Like I liked it. No, wait a minute.
Is a center.
He's into
center.
Oh yeah, no. Connor Lou was the one that was like embarrassing folks. It was
okay. That's what because I know people have spoken very.
Connor Lou, he was definitely putting people on the he was putting them on the turf, bro. I liked it.
Okay. Yeah. People have spoken very highly of him. So I was curious what you saw in the film of him.
Yeah, no, it looked good. But again, so here's the thing, and I have to remind people. Of course, they look good in their highlight film.
Right.
I haven't watched like a full game to see the times they got embarrassed and the times that they missed a blocking assignment, right? Like, but it's good. Here's the thing. There are people who I can put on the tape right now for Auburn that I will never see a rep like that for.
Yeah, man, that's true.
I will never see a rep of them taking the dude and driving him and putting him in the ground 5, 6, 20 yards downfield. Won't see it.
Right.
So even if I'm watching highlights of them, I'll never find that. So it's good to have a highlight tape that at least has real highlights in it.
For sure. Let's take a look at all of the people. I just want to ask you, because most people are aware of who we got. In case you aren't aware, I'm not going to read them all out. But as you can see, everyone in the blue is everyone who has signed their LOI. Jeremiah Cobb, who will be a summer enrollee, will wait till February to sign with his guys. So that is why he is listed in white. He is the last remaining kid, but no worries there. As far as we've been told, he's 100% committed to Auburn. So here's who we see listed here. Obviously, Ike, you mentioned one of the biggest surprises, Kyan Lee. I think the biggest signee or the biggest commitment of the day has to be Keldrick Falk.
That's definitely the one everybody was the most excited about. Yeah.
What about you? Do you have a different one?
No, Lee, from the tape, Lee is the guy I'm most excited about.
Okay.
I was super excited about Falk just because of the flip that happened that I wasn't expecting. Like, Lee was a guy who I wasn't really looking to, like, it's like, oh, snap, we got that one too. Like, I wasn't watching live I was watching Keldrick Falk's announcement live, and I was like, oh yeah, of course, if you watched it, you'll see I went nuts. But of the guys that are on this graphic right now that I'm the most excited about from just watching their film, Lee is up there as probably number one from the defensive side. I like the offensive lineman guys that we just talked about with Connor Lew and Braden Joyner. And then I've really liked the tape of the stuff I saw from DeQuavius Sorey, man. I was like, oh,
Sorey looked good, man.
Boy,
Sorey
was
looked
getting
good.
busy in the film. I said, good Lord, this boy is electric, man. So yeah, I definitely those would be the guys who I'm most excited about just from watching a little film on them. Jeremiah Cobb, his film looks good too. I didn't watch that today because again, he didn't sign his letter of intent. But yeah, man, I don't know, man. K and Lee has just got like that swagger about him where he's just like he's gonna hit everybody coming in his zone. He made some smart plays on some of this stuff. I was like, okay. Yeah, this guy can ball a little bit, man. He's a
safety.
He's a DB. I don't know if he plays safety or not. Let's see what they have him listed as. He is they have him listed as a cornerback. 5'10", 175. So he's not even like a big dude, but he I like the tape I saw of him though.
B. Will, your thoughts, man. Who are you most excited about? What was your biggest signing today?
You know what? It's hard to say. The biggest signing, it's easy to say that it's going to be one of the guys that were the flips, K and Lee or Keldrick Falk. Keldrick Falk said when he put on that Auburn hat, I don't know if it was the interview or it was right after, I always wanted it to be Auburn. He said he wanted to go to Auburn, which means, again, see the previous segment, if the guy at the top isn't right, you're gonna be losing people that you should be getting. We should have had him. We didn't get him. It kind of felt like we were pulling at him anyway. We never felt out of it. As a matter of fact, I could say with most certainty, even the last staff felt like eventually they were going to pull him away once NIL got going. I think there's a possibility he could have ended up here anyway. K and Lee, I'm with Ike. I had no idea. had none. Ohio State
I didn't expect it.
Yeah, they in here in bowl practice and Ryan, they check his phone like, who? What? God, y'all, time, stop.
Yo, let's talk about that. Let's talk about Ryan Day real quick.
Oh my God. Okay, so can we do that now? Can we do that right now?
Hold on. Let's put it back here and let's talk about Ryan Day. Oh, I can't say what I want to say. This little punk. Go ahead, B.
Okay, so let's get back to the I'm going to call it the theorem of the school does the recruiting. I'll come up with something fancier later. The school is what the school is, and that's what they are, and that's generally what their baseline is for recruiting. Ohio State's going to get guys because they're Ohio State. If you can keep guys from other schools, then you're doing your job as a good coach. Or if you're a great coach, then you're a black hole for all the talent in your region and even the country. Ohio State's been there for a while. Ryan Day is sorry as hell. I don't know how you are going to be recruiting at the level Ohio State recruits at and be like, oh, well, I mean, I guess you got to keep recruiting after they commit. No, duh. What are you talking about? You sorry as hell, boy. Boy, you sorry as hell.
Is Ryan Day married? I
don't know. He lying, obviously. So maybe he is married.
I'm just saying, because that's the kind of mentality, because you don't understand. Oh, you still got to, I married her already. I still got to date her. It's like, yeah, bro, that's just getting her to go out on the date with you doesn't mean she's yours forever. That's not how that works.
So him whining about
your wife.
Hey, double entendre. You know what I'm saying? you still gotta go out here and recruit, and that's something I will give this credit to Nick Saban.
Are you new here, Ryan Day? Is this the first time this ever happened to you? Well, I guess. I mean, I guess your word don't mean nothing, huh? No, it don't mean nothing. Not till I sign, bro. What are you doing?
He was just
What are you
shocked.
doing,
I
man?
guess you just in a state of shock.
But see, that's because their recruiting has always been on auto. They've always been on auto, man.
Right.
Michigan's
that's
up and
a fact.
coming.
That's
though.
a fact, D.
Right. They've been on automatic. And he never had to shift gears. He's like, wait, well, I don't know. We gotta use my left foot too. Yeah, dummy. That boy's so stupid. Anyway, Ryan, they are a classic telltale sign.
But then he gonna act like Ohio State's never flipped anybody in his life. What?
Right.
I mean,
Right.
I've never heard of such things. What is flipping? But it's your weak.
Can't beat Michigan behind. I guess that's what it is. What it is.
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, Ryan Day is a bit of a fraud, which is why they got dusted. I'll give this to Urban Meyer. He may be a terrible human being. I can't say I didn't see Ohio State get dusted while he was there, because I still vividly remember that 30-0 beatdown at the hands of Clemson in the playoffs in 2016. I will never forget it, Urban Meyer. You're a bum. But Ryan Day seems to, like, even after Urban Meyer left, I don't know if y'all remember this, he's doing the coverage for Fox, right? And it was like 2 years ago, not last year when Michigan beat Ohio State, but the year before that. And they were like, Urban, they say this might be the year. And Urban was like, the year for what? Ohio State and lose to Michigan. He was very confident that what he had built, there was no way they were going to lose. And they didn't lose that year.
They didn't.
1 year removed from that, you lose. The next year, you get stomped out at home. I don't know what more you need to see. It's like a Mark Helfrich, Chip Kelly kind of situation going on.
You think that's where we're heading with this, bro?
I mean, it's Ohio State, so it wouldn't ever slip that much, because Helfrich had Mariota. So it was a whole nother year after Mariota before they realized, oh, you really ain't that dude. Is he even in Power 5 anymore? No. I don't think so.
I think the last I heard, he was like an assistant somewhere.
You know what? Ryan Day gonna end up the head coach at Arkansas State. He'll bounce back cool in about 4 or 5 years.
Don't go to Arkansas State, because then eventually he'll land here at Auburn some kind of way.
Nah, because Butch Davis is a coach at Arkansas State. They ain't never gonna happen. I'm speaking.
He breaking the streak. He breaking the streak.
He gonna. That's where the streak breaks right
Manifest.
there.
Manifest.
But yeah, man, he crying. I don't know why Ryan Day doing this crying. They gonna lose to Georgia. So he lost a recruit today, and he gonna lose to Georgia too. So cool. Glad to see you.
Hate. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. All right. Back to our signees.
Yeah.
So Kayan Lee that's the biggest news of the day for you, biggest recruit, B.
Yeah, I mean, he was the most eye-popping guy on the tape for me. So
okay. Not listed here. Surprise lost. I think the obvious one here for me, well, I wouldn't say obvious, because a lot of people will point to the two guys, or Tony Mitchell, who was believed to be Auburn had flipped him, but he decided to sign with Bama. What I think I grabbed this here. James says, fellas, what two flips are comparable to the Carver-Montgomery duo? Also, is there a chance that we climb even more after National Signing Day in February? We're going to answer that, but you have the duo from Montgomery as well, who ended up signing with Bama. Most people didn't give their hopes up too high for those guys, but to me, the biggest loss has to be offensive tackle Isaiah Jada, who ended up signing with Colorado.
Yeah.
But thoughts on that, gentlemen?
So I actually tweeted out that, that's the prime effect. And somebody replied and said that this was a position where once we took Xavion Miller and apparently mixed in with some of the guys that we are projected to get, like the tackle from Tulsa, who, of course, was where Philip Montgomery. There we go. That he wouldn't have been able to play the position he wanted. So this wasn't as much of a loss, which is something. Isn't that something like you saw? I think it was Jenkins, the guy who had committed to us, and then he was going to be a preferred walk-on here, and then he ends up committing to FIU. And then the statement read, flips him from Auburn. It's like, he did. Okay, so all right, that's not really what happened, but sure, you know what I'm saying. That's not.
He wasn't committed. Who are we talking about now?
Well, he had committed to us. His name was Key Jenkins. from Miami.
Oh
or,
yeah,
or-
oh yeah.
Keon
Right.
Jenkins.
So when you no longer have the same interest in the kid, and the kid, you say, "Hey, go get whatever offer you can get," and then the line on the day when he signed somewhere else is you flipped him from Auburn. Like, he ain't flip him from us, but all right, if it makes you feel better, FIU, go ahead and put your little graphic up. But
little graphic.
But I mean, the biggest surprise, I was like, man, I thought he was a solid get for us. But if you've got other guys to fill in, who's there at the position, it matters a lot to these guys, man. If you're selling NIL, what you're doing is you got to sell them playing time to go along with it, or it doesn't mean much. That's why those guys got the hell out of Dodge from A&M. That's why a lot of those Bama players got the hell out of Dodge. They were high-rated recruits, but either they don't like your position coach, you don't like your system you're running, or you're not getting playing time. If those are all any one of those things could drive a guy into the portal or cause a guy to go elsewhere, man. You see more need. It's like, yeah, Auburn, y'all need some help at offensive tackle, but man, y'all about to have a total of what, 8 guys? I don't know. There might not be a spot for me. And then here comes Dion, with the mouth of all head coaches, promising me something special. So yeah, I'm gonna go see what he's talking about. So I understand why we lost that one, but we got bodies there. I'm not worried about offensive line.
Oh, there's still more. There's still more out there for sure.
Right.
For sure. Let's go ahead and address James' question. Appreciate the super chat. Are there 2 flips comparable to those guys? I think that's a tough question to ask, but if you guys want to tackle that, you're more than welcome to. What are your thoughts on climbing even higher than 16th?
I mean, so higher than 16th is going to be probably a numbers game at that point in time. Like, how many additional people can we add to the class? And that's the thing, speaking of things that we talked about on the Mike Mack and Memes podcast, I think that was probably the bigger thing for a lot of Auburn folks in regard to the previous staff, is just getting nobody in the final tally on National Signing Day, when you had bodies or scholarships still available. Like, it didn't matter whether or not they were guys that you were targeting as high. Like, go get bodies, put people on your roster, and let them come in and compete. I don't think this staff is going to make that mistake. I think they're going to say, all right, cool. If we got to fill out the rest of this with high 2 stars, 3 stars, low 4 stars, that's what we're going to go do. Because in the era of the transfer portal, there's going to be a lot of kids who previously would have gotten offers that will not be getting offers to Power 5 schools, that are entertaining offers from places like FIU and FAU and UCF. Yes, that was shade. They're going to be entertaining offers from schools like that, because they wouldn't be getting they're not going to get offers from Missouri like they would have, or offers from Florida State like they would have. So they're going to go to some other school where they can get a scholarship. Kayan Lee is actually a good example of this, of a guy who any other year probably gets a P5 offer. But because we are pushing for a transfer portal kid at quarterback, as opposed to, they would have probably taken him 3 years ago with the tape that he has and said, we'll put him on the roster.
Come on, Keywan Jenkins.
Jenkins. Excuse me, what did I say?
Kalen Lee.
Yeah, no, I mean Keon Jenkins is who I'm talking about. But yeah, any other year we probably take him in this class with the tape that I've seen on him. But because the transfer portal is so high, and there are some high profile guys that may enter the portal later, that they're saying, all right, we'll just wait for them to come available. We'll wait. And we're not going to offer you right now. Maybe we'll offer you in February. And he's like, look, I want a scholarship today. I want to get to school early. Appreciate it. So he's going to go somewhere. He's going to ride it out for a couple of years and probably end up transferring from there. So is there a chance, to answer the question, for us to climb higher after National Signing Day? Definitely a chance. It just kind of depends on what the numbers are looking like for some of these other schools as well, because it's not really so much what we do at this point in time, is what the people in front of us do as well, right? So if they don't do anything significant and we add some more numbers, yes. If they do some significant things at the end, because I don't really, I don't keep up with recruits that much out of high school. I don't know how many big names are still out there left to be gotten that haven't committed somewhere and legitimately have a chance to be flipped.
This is where you find your diamonds in the rough. I think wasn't Jarquez Hunter a February signee? Like, this is where you find your diamonds in the roughs, in my opinion. So I do expect them, to your point, Ike, for them to definitely find those guys who may be betting on themselves, perhaps didn't take their scholarly at a small school and looking to get picked up somewhere. So this is a good opportunity for Hugh Freeze. I mean, even the guy that you didn't get a chance to look at film on, Hugh Freeze spoke very highly of him and was like, hey, this dude got a motor on him. We got to take him. So I expect the staff to definitely look to find those types of guys this second half of recruiting. Monty Smoot says, I'm most excited about Duron Reed. He looks fast and explosive. I think he's going to be a handful. Thoughts on that, gentlemen?
Yeah, I like his tape. I think he was good. He was one of those guys that's tougher to evaluate because it felt like everybody who he was playing against was smaller than him for the most part. But he is a guy that definitely shoots gaps in the middle of the line, and he's upfield and hunting for the quarterback when he gets those opportunities against the run, a run stuffing type of guy where he's just in there and in the backfield in a hurry. So with some additional work, I think that he's going to be really good.
Now, this isn't really an indication to predict, but I like the sense of awareness from Hugh Freeze, because in the presser, he acknowledged the fact that, yeah, we jumped 40 spots and we're in the top 20, but it doesn't feel like we've closed the gap between our two biggest rivals or the teams we're supposed to be beating.
Mm-hmm.
But he alluded to the fact that, hey, in another 365 days, we hope to close that gap. Paraphrasing. It's interesting that a coach actually is willing to acknowledge that and take on that challenge. What were your thoughts about that when you heard him even mention that? Because that came out of nowhere. No one really asked him that per se, but he went ahead and mentioned that. So it's interesting to see a coach, our head coach, address the elephant in the room, no pun intended, and go after the big guys.
I mean, of course, you're not going to be here. I think nobody was really expecting Hugh Freeze to try to puff his chest up and stand shoulder to shoulder with Nick Saban and do this number right here. Like, hey, Nick, just want to let you know, I only got like another inch to go. I mean, right now, it was this class right now. Just fill needs. We have glaring needs. Fill them. Get some momentum going. That's like the first marker for, do we feel good about the Hugh Freeze hire yet? And this was a yes. Today was a resounding yes. That's all we expected from him. Him saying, again, I think he's managing the fans' expectations properly, which is, you saw I did a good job today, but that's not what I'm going for. We've got more to do. Saying the important thing out loud, even if you're going to do it anyway, is very important. Again, with the, I don't know why we all relationship in marriage analogies. If I was going to do something, like I saw the trash overflowing and it was like, man, I really need to get that out. Now, I might be about to do that in 20, 30 minutes, but I'm like, hey, I need to get this trash out. As soon as I do this, I'm gonna get it out. Why? Because I don't want my wife to get it out and like, I was gonna get it anyway. You ain't gotta do that. I know you can't put nothing else in there right now. I'm gonna finish this and I'm gonna go do it. I'm gonna do the work, but I'm gonna let you know I'm gonna do the work, so you don't even have to worry about it. Because I want you to know that your standard, fans, is my standard too. And again, that's him building those bridges with the fan base, and I think it's important to do. He's doing a good job so far.
For sure.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I like my coach to be honest and saying, hey, we've got work to do. Number one, it sets an expectation that, yes, we're excited about the guys that were here, but we realize we still have some things that we need to do to get better. And so we're not satisfied with where we are. And I think if you're going to be great at something, not being satisfied is the first place to be. Is the best place to be. Is like, nope, this isn't good enough. This is good. We've done an amazing job so far. Not good enough. We still have work that we got to do. We're going to rest, and then we're going to let our minds and bodies recover, and then we're going to get right back to it as soon as it's time to do that. I like that. I love that about his mentality towards recruiting. I love that about his mentality towards pushing guys that are here right now, because he made sure to give props to the guys that are still here, that are playing for this school, that haven't transferred, to say, we've got good guys that are here right now. They know that they need to get better too. Let's go get better. Right. Everybody feels it right now. Everybody's ready to get to work. Everybody is out here excited. I'm excited for that.
For sure. Thomas Jones, we appreciate the super sticker. Your question is TJ Finley in the transfer portal, or he has to graduate first.
He's got to graduate first before he can. Well, he could put his name in the transfer portal. It wouldn't do him any good if he wanted to be available immediately to play somewhere. So he needs to graduate in order to do that. So that's, as I'm told or understand, that is the plan for him, is to graduate and then go test the waters.
James Morris, appreciate the super chat. He says, do y'all know anything about the Harris twins? They are linebackers out of Altamont Springs, Florida. Have not heard of those guys, but I believe he's referring to Andrew Harris and Michael Harris. I'm not quite sure if they're on the coaching staff's radar. We do have Hugh Freeze did announce, and we will talk about coaching staff in a little bit, but he did announce the new linebackers coach, who was the interim head coach at Liberty, who just wrapped up the bowl game. He announced him as the linebackers coach for Auburn. I'm not quite sure who they're targeting or who's on their board, but we'll interesting to see how that plays out in the weeks ahead as they try to close for this National Signing Day. So we'll be on the lookout for that. I'm not familiar with them. I'm not quite even sure if they're on Auburn's radar at this point. All right. It's giveaway time. Ike, you got it. You did remember, Ike.
I did remember.
Okay, awesome. We're giving away a Get Your Weight Up t-shirt courtesy of War Eagle Oil. We're about to draw. Hopefully you get your weight up in the comments, because Ike is ready. How many we got, Ike?
91 people jumped in here out of the 600 in here. I guess maybe y'all don't like my t-shirt designs or something. I don't know. But courtesy of War Eagle Oil, the winner today is Eric Randall.
Eric, are you here? Up? Eric, are you here? Let us know for sure. Let us know if you're here, guys. Be on the lookout for him. I'm going to grab some of these. William Kelly says, I like the fact that Freeze mentioned the parents' names when talking about the recruit. It's like he has known them for years. I like that. Hugh Freeze really strikes him as a really personable person and really valuing the relationships, not just with the recruits, but with the parents. And so I thought that was really endearing to hear him talk and go in depth about the recruit as well as their families as well. So yeah, I thought that was a good look for him. Tate says, you think Deion Sanders would have done a better job than Freeze has done?
It's interesting, better, right? Like, I think Deion Sanders would have done what he could do. He would have had a much bigger machine behind them. Like, though Colorado is a Power 5 team, they have been in obscurity of late. And I'm not saying Auburn has been great of late, but still in a better spot as far as recruiting ground. I don't know, but Hugh Freeze has done an amazing job. And so that's where I'm at with it right now, is the job the guy who's here is doing, and wish Deion the best in what he's doing over there. So I think I do know this. We probably would have gotten the Carver boys if he had come. The ones that everybody was so high on, they would have come if Deion was the coach. But I don't know if we get
Tony.
Yeah, I don't know if we get some of the other guys that we did flip, right? Because I don't know what if his priorities would have been. Because it seems as if, I don't know if the recruiting staff at Colorado is as good as the recruiting staff at Auburn, because right now he's basically on social media using that to leverage and get people to come to him. I don't know how much he's going out into living rooms and sitting with kids, as opposed to, I'm Deion, y'all should come over here with me, right? So I don't know.
Budget wise, we don't know how he can get to recruits and get in living rooms and go see guys the way we know Hugh Freeze has been able to do it.
Yeah.
So good point there, Ike. Eric Randall says, I am here. Congrats to you, good sir. We need you to email us business@the Rapport. We need, of course, we got your name, but we need your physical address and shirt size, or else we're sending you a schmedium, okay? And all that means is it won't fit you, all right? So please give us your shirt size, physical address, and email us at business@the And congratulations, Eric, for watching, and enjoy your T-shirt. Now, Ike, Ben Bloodworth says, did y'all see Dabo's NIL comment? Did you hear about this?
We've always used NIL here. God's name, image, and likeness is the comment Dabo Swinney had about the way they've recruited at Clemson. Clemson uses the name, image, and likeness of God.
I told you he was a doofus. I've been trying to tell you guys I've been trying to tell you he was a doofus. This is why I call him Yabba Dabba, because he and this is the same guy. I thought he was supposed to quit. Was he supposed to quit coaching? He made a statement that the soon as players start getting paid, he was going to leave coaching.
Oh, yeah.
God's name, image, and likeness comment. No, I didn't hear about that, but that sounds about accurate for Dabo Swinney, I think. Anyway,
Yeah.
Bay Lyman wants to know, what is your thoughts on Hank Doodoo Brown?
I mean, it was cool. I definitely think that he has some arm talent. He's got some mechanic stuff that he needs to work on. So again, if you're a member, you could go back and watch. So I watched the film. We looked at some of the stuff from his highlight tape, and I did some critiques and breakdowns of things that I saw. I think that he's got some potential there for his ability to just do the arm talent work. He's got some things he needs to work on. He is. I'll say this, and it sounds like I'm bagging on a kid coming straight out of high school, but I like Holden Garner more than I like Hank Brown right now. Yeah.
I did like Garner coming out of high school. I'm curious to see, what do you think Garner is going to do in his office? What do you think that Hugh Freeze could do with a Holden Garner?
Amazing. Holden Garner can make literally every throw out there on the field. He seems like a really smart guy. The things that I like about Holden Garner are his decisiveness, right? Like he knows where he wants to go with the ball, and he can get it there in a hurry.
And based on the reads that Montgomery and them will want him to do, he would be surgical in his offense.
Yeah, he could really shred some defenses up with the type of offense that we're going to be trotting out there on the field. I've heard from people who are there that he's an intelligent quarterback, so he understands. He can he can process the offenses. The only thing I worry about with him is whether or not the offensive line got better, and if the offensive line got better, Holden Garner could be a monster. So,
we mentioned Hugh Freeze made a statement that I thought was pretty interesting. And I'll get to that, but I do want to address Christian Crawford's point here. Speaking of linebacker, can we talk about, all caps, these coaches coming from Liberty? I thought Hugh said folks were lighting up his phone. Now he has 70% of his Liberty staff at Auburn. Terrible. And I think this is based on the fact that if you're hiring from Liberty, then the coaches, I guess, aren't as of quality, I'm assuming, which I don't think that's proven. And we've talked about this in a sense to where coaches are going to hire guys that are familiar with them and the culture that they want to build at Auburn because they've already done it at Liberty. Also, I've heard some pretty positive things about the guy who's coming over to be linebackers coach. I don't know what he's like as a recruiter, but wasn't he a Broyles finalist or something like that?
Yeah, and so here's this quote from Hugh Freeze has been requoted so improperly so many times. He was specifically talking about offensive coordinators that were hitting him up about wanting to work with him when he made the statement. And again, I've addressed this multiple times. Maybe Christian has missed it when I've said this. It's not unusual for people to bring people in that they've worked with before when they're trying to do something quickly. They're not just going to try to get this Frankenstein monster of coaches and hope it works to be able to move quickly. That's just not what most coaches do, even if you have a lot of coaches at your disposal. Heck, even Deion Sanders brought people over that he's known already to his staff at Colorado. People are lauding all this applause on Deion for the staff he's putting together, but he's using a lot of people who he's already known on his staff. That's how people build staffs. I don't know why that's so unusual to people that happens, but apparently when Hugh Freeze does it, it's a bad thing. I don't know, but yeah, I don't think it's terrible to the point of this comment. I just think that that's normal.
I agree. Again, and we've seen what happens when coaches go out and get people who aren't a good mix for what they're trying to do, right? Yeah. We saw that with the last coach, right? He hired some coordinators and they were gone within a year. It's good to bring over guys who, again, they already understand how you operate, what you want. He trusts them. The trust is already established. Coaches tend to do that. That is a thing. Yeah. So I will say that. Let me ask you this, Ike. He mentioned something about special teams. I think he was asked about special teams.
Yeah, somebody did specifically ask him. He was like, "Am I allowed to say that?"
And so apparently we have a guy, but he's going to. Is he going to coordinate
off the
special
field.
teams
Yeah.
off the field?
Yeah, that's what he said. He's going to be a part of the off the field staff because there you only can have 10 on the field staff.
So he's already met the limit.
Mm-hmm.
So what is that? So if he's already, I guess after wide receiver, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm. Wide receiver is the last on the field coach that he has yet to hire, and he said that he'll make that hire sometime in the new year. So don't expect anything announced until after January on that. So it's likely meaning it's someone. He said that they've identified the guy that they think they want to hire. I think they're waiting until whoever it is gets done with their bowl game, unless it's a NFL guy.
Interesting. So we'll definitely keep an eye out on that for sure. But I thought that was interesting that he talked about special teams and the fact that the actual person coordinating it will be off the field, but he'll have, I think he mentioned the tight ends coach and maybe the linebackers coach actually calling it on the field.
Yeah.
So interesting. I mean, it's special teams. It's not like it's your OC or DC, but I thought that was very interesting. I don't know if you've ever heard of anything like that before.
I don't. I mean, I can't say that I have looked at the compositions of people's staffs that closely to know whether or not this is usual. But I think it's a good way to be able to do all the stuff. I mean, it's not unusual to do this with quarterback is usually where you see that happen, right? Like you won't have a quarterback coach as your on the field staff, but you'll have some off the field analyst that comes in that's specifically there to work with quarterbacks. You see that often. You typically will see that with specialized edge guys, right? Like, so you'll have a linebackers coach, you have a defensive line coach, but then you'll have somebody who's specifically off the field as an analyst that's working with the guys that are going to be on the edge. I don't know how often it happens with a special teams coordinator that it's an off the field guy. It seems like it makes a lot of sense because like during the game, how often are you making snap judgments about what you want to do from a special teams standpoint, other than, you know, are we going to do this trick play that we've already got in the bag? Are we going to run this fake?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
basically you have a dedicated person who's I guess not really thinking about any other position but special teams, assuming that's the case.
Right.
Who's actually working on that. That makes sense. I can see that. Keeping it real. What QBs are left for Auburn? We need someone stronger than Robbie. No offense. This new O-line will be so strong. Thoughts on that, right?
We need someone stronger than Robbie. I don't know. I don't really know what that means. Maybe if you're saying you need someone who is more accurate than Robbie today, I could understand that sentiment because Robbie's accuracy has been an issue. I don't know how excited recruits are when they see Robbie's tape because most of last year's tape was him running, right? So you don't think to yourself, oh, this guy's going to give me, 10 targets in a game. I'm going to have an opportunity to go be a Biletnikoff finalist working with Auburn. I think that Coach Hugh Freeze and Philip Montgomery are dynamic coaches that can help quarterbacks be better in mechanics and in scheme fit for what they do. And those things are exciting because I know the type of effort and energy Robbie puts in to the work that he does on his game. Is that to say that Robbie is going to be ready next year, that game one? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. This offseason is going to determine a lot for him, and he has a lot of work that he's got to do. I've already talked about Holden Garner, though, and I think that from an arm strength and mechanic standpoint, he's ready to go and do all the things. As to whether or not he's ready to understand the offense and can go out there. I had an interesting conversation recently with someone about leadership in the locker room. And I think that that's going to be a really important thing. And this is the only thing that I would say would be a benefit to bringing in a junior or senior quarterback is someone who is a locker room leader that people can get behind. This is what I don't know about Robbie because I've never been in the locker room and I haven't talked to a lot of guys in that locker room. Is Robbie ready to be a leader in the locker room right now? Because there was no quarterback that was in that room that was really a leader in that locker room for him to watch. right? And for him to understand what it is to kind of rally guys around him. I think guys like him, but is he a leader in the locker room? I don't know. I'm not, hear me, I'm not questioning Robbie's leadership ability. I don't know. And
basically, is he ready to take the next step?
Right. And so again, I don't know that he is or isn't. What I do know from a talent standpoint, I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about Robbie's talent, because any kid who works as hard as Robbie Ashford is and puts his body on the line, I don't know that there's a guy in that locker room who wants to win more than Robbie Ashford. It's going to be difficult for you to find me somebody who wants to win more than Robbie Ashford does. And I will take that kid who is just going to go out there and give it his absolute all. I'll take a handful of Robbie Ashfords and Jarquez Hunters and fill out a locker room and go conquer the world, because they want to win and they're going to fight for every yard at every snap. So that's the part I don't question. If he's willing to be tutored the right way to understand what he needs to do in the offense and make those decisions, he's going to be fine. I'm not worried about that.
And I think this offense suits his abilities a lot better. I mean, we saw, again, he's going to be healthier. That's the hope, right? He's not going to be playing with an injured shoulder trying to make throws. Also, he's going to have 2 QB coaches who can help him with his fundamentals and technique. Also, I do think that Hugh Freeze, coming from Liberty, know what it's like to be down QBs. So I think he knows and understands the need to bring in a QB, for no other reason than for depth, right? And I also think someone to actually push Robbie as well. Now, Holden could be that guy, but I think bringing in someone who's had some experience would help. As you alluded, Ike, after the bowl season, after teams are done with their bowls, we could see a lot of guys go into the portal again. I think there's another wave of QBs coming, and it's interesting to see who Auburn takes. Hugh Freeze even talked about this during his presser. He was saying, hey, we got to look for the right QB, right fit. So they're keeping their eyes on the portal as well. So I expect to see some news on that, depending on who enters the portal, if the coaches think there's someone who's a take. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Ike, you got anything else, man?
I do not, man. I appreciate y'all for hanging out with me all day. I'm sure some of y'all tired of hearing my voice, but it was still fun.
For sure. Tell the people what they need to be doing.
They need to come on board with the War Report, man. We're going to give you all the best content that we've got. You need to get to that $5.99 level to get to some of these film reviews that we're going to be doing. Much appreciated if you do that. If you are a member and you want to gift a membership, you can do that right now before the live ends from the live chat. And then when you are out there and you want to buy some stuff, hit us up at thewarreport.com and you'll be able to get all of the merch that you want to. Buy it all up out of the store. Warreport.com is where you get your merch. And then you can listen to us in audio format at the Auburn Express, powered by the War Report. And we appreciate everybody who is doing that as well. My bad.
All good. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you guys for hanging out with us. You already know what to do. Share this content on social media. Smash that like button before you get out of here. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. I mentioned social media. That is Twitter and Facebook, but we're also on Instagram at The War Rapport. We're TW Rapport on TikTok. That's it for now, guys. Ike, you'll be back on the morning drop tomorrow, right?
No morning drop tomorrow. I'm going to take the day and kind of get some rest tomorrow.
You need to get some rest.
Yeah.
So we'll pick back up with the morning drop on Friday. That is the 23rd eve of Christmas Eve there. We will see you guys again. Enjoy the rest. Enjoy this early signing day. Revel in what has been a very exciting day. We will see you guys later. Until then, and as always, War Eagle.
War Eagle.